I just got back from one of the most unexpected, inspiring, sexy, spicy educational trips I have ever taken. And I'm about to take you with me. And not just that, but later in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can experience the same thing. Hello, everybody. If you are new to this channel, my name is Ali, and I'm a sex education student with the Sexual Health Alliance. This is an organization that is a leading expert in sex therapy, counseling, coaching, and education, and I'm a part of the online program, which I absolutely love so far. But they are also really well known for organizing super spicy, sexy, educational in-person events. And one of those in-person events that I'm going to be talking about today is their study abroad program. So every year, they choose 4 locations across the world. Each location provides a very unique cultural and legal landscape related to sexual health, sex work, LGBTQ+. And if you do go on one of these trips, you are going to be immersing yourself in local culture. You're going to be gaining global perspectives. You're going to be learning so much from workshops and lectures and just meeting such incredible people and living the most precious, priceless experiences. So I travel a lot. And whenever I go to a new location, I always look for some kind of tour that's related to sex culture or sex history, and often it's pretty hard to find. So I was so excited when I saw that Shaw offered something like this that is created and tailored in such a professional and safe way. This year, their spring locations were Amsterdam and Prague, and I am so grateful to have attended both. And I'm going to be telling you all about Amsterdam today. And later on in the video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 2 exciting locations that they are going to in the fall that you could potentially be a part of.
Good morning from Amsterdam.
I have been there many times before, but this was definitely a different experience because 1, I was going alone, and 2, I was staying in the city, going as a tourist and learning about things that I have never learned or seen before. Because usually when I go, I have some good friends that live there outside of town and we go and stay with them. So it's a very different experience. But as you know, Amsterdam is such an incredible place to learn about sex culture and history because it is so rich there. And this was actually Shaw. When I say Shaw, by the way, I mean the Sexual Health Alliance. I think it was their 4th time going to Amsterdam. Well worth it. So I'm gonna run through the itinerary with you guys and tell you a little bit about how the structure of the trip worked, because that's kind of what it's gonna be like for all the other trips that they offer. And I find that they have such a good balance between the sexy, spicy activities, which are so unique and different, followed by just like regular tourist stuff that you would do if you were, touring Amsterdam or wherever on your own. Those things that you just gotta check off the list. So the trip lasts 5 days. You can either go before and spend a couple days on your own or stay after and do the same.
So today is day 1 and I'm just on my way to go grab something to eat. And then at 4:30, I'm meeting the group. And the first activity that we're gonna do is go to the Sex Museum.
So the first day we went to the famous Sex Museum. Now, if I was by myself in Amsterdam, and I have already been there before, I never really wanted to go because I did always think it's a very touristy place and it's probably not gonna be that cool. But I was pleasantly surprised because it actually really is a cool museum full of great information, not just from the Netherlands, but from all over the world as well. My favorite part about it was probably the really funny mechanical mannequins that they had doing very interesting sexual things, but I love that playful side of the museum. And that was followed by a welcome dinner where we all got to get to know each other. So the first meal was included on the trip and we had some delicious schnitzel, of course, and fries and salad. Oh, I mean, you gotta love schnitzel, right? It's delicious. And we got to know our peers. There were probably about 20 to 25 of us, so we were a pretty big group.
Today we're going on a bike tour. I'm a little nervous just because I can get clumsy with traffic and bikes. And then we're going to a sex club, brothel type of place. And we're gonna look around and we're gonna talk to sex workers. So that I'm also, look at that fucking bird.
Mons, hier?
On the second day, it was jam-packed. We started out with a bike tour because when you go to Amsterdam, you gotta do a bike tour because what else is there to do? There is over 500 kilometers of biking to do over there, and there are more bikes than there are people. So that was actually my first time going on a bike in Amsterdam. I was always a little bit scared because if you're not cautious, then you can get hurt. And helmets are not necessarily illegal there. Not wearing a helmet is not necessarily illegal. So you have to be pretty careful. And after the bike tour, we went on a private tour to a strip club slash sex club.
So I'm currently in a strip club brothel called Bon Temps. And it's a more higher end club in Amsterdam. So we're doing a little tour of the private rooms, and we're talking to a sex worker today.
By the way, if you are interested in hearing more about this or checking out more travel vlogs, because while I was there, I did vlog a lot about the entire trip and I posted all of that stuff on my Patreon. So if you want to see more in-depth information and vlogging and stuff like that about this trip and about all the other stuff that I show on YouTube and you want extra content, you can check out the Patreon. I'm going to link it below this video. Just remember, if you do join the Patreon, you are really motivating me to keep on going, keep on learning, keep on sharing the information that I learn either through school or through my travels or life or whatever with you all. So it is very much appreciated.
Today we are going on a food tour, like a 4-hour food tour, something like that.
Day 3, again, incredibly packed day. We went on a 4 or 5 hour food tour. Like it was long, but it was great. It was probably one of the best food tours I have ever been on.
Well, we'll head there right now. Okay. We're gonna go this way.
This food tour is pretty fun. Everyone is very nice. It's been wonderful getting to know all the people from Shaw and study abroad and stuffing our face and walking in the rain and getting to know Amsterdam a little bit more. It's very humid and cold.
We got to taste so many different things, to pickled herring, which is a big thing in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands. I never wanted to try it before, but this time, obviously, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was really, really delicious, and I would definitely eat it again. And then we got to, walk through the markets, walk through the pipe. It was raining that whole day, I remember. Again, the weather in Amsterdam is just super unpredictable. You're talking about cold, humid, wet, and yeah, but honestly, it was worth it because it was so fun. After a day of fully stuffing my face, we went to the Prostitution Information Center in the red light district, where we got to chat with a prostitute and talk about the red light district, how it works, the sex industry, the myths, the stigmas, and so on. And that was such an interesting workshop, and it's just really important and valuable to have these conversations with people who are actually working in the industry so you could hear about their perspective on life, on their work, and it really broadens your view on how the world works. We touched upon a lot of topics. I actually share a lot more information of this on my Patreon. You could check that out if you want to, but that was really, really interesting. In terms of the red light district, if you're curious, no, I didn't spend that much time walking around there. I had been a few times, obviously. It's in a very nice part of town. The red light district it's there, it's center of town, it's beautiful, it's got the canals and everything, and it looks almost like every other part of Amsterdam. You just got some windows there and some peep shows and sex shows and so on. And I participated in a few things the first time I went to Amsterdam, but I'll be honest with you and say that it's a little touristy. It's not really my jam. It's not really my jam, I feel like you see it once and that's it. Anyways, the video is not about the red light district. We are talking about the study abroad program.
All right, this is technically the last day of the trip already. Can you fucking believe it? It flew by.
This was a workshop day. We got to attend a workshop by 2 speakers, one who does exploratory research in sexual fantasies. So she shared with us her research in the Netherlands studying people's fantasies. And it's always so interesting to hear about this because her research is similar to research that was done in the United States. And it all comes down to the same thing, like for example, people's number one fantasies is Threesomes and group sex. That's like everyone's number one fantasy, you know? They're very similar depending on where you are in the world. And what was extra cool about this experience was that after the workshop was done, she asked if any of us wanted to participate and go on stage and talk about our fantasies, which, as you know, is a very, very vulnerable thing to do. But there was this wonderful woman who volunteered to do it. And, you know, she shared her fantasies of, you know, wanting to fuck her clients and things like that. And she was very nervous talking about it. But like I said, if you're in a room full of sex therapists and so on, they are the least judgmental people ever. So if you are going to share about that kind of stuff, that's where you want to be. And then she asked for another participant. And I said to myself, Allie, this is such a good opportunity for you to just like put yourself out there. Do something different, be a voice for people. So I raised my hand and I went up there and she psychoanalyzed me for about 10 minutes. I talked about one of my most reoccurring fantasies. And I was so happy because one of the new friends I made actually filmed the whole thing so I could rewatch it later and examine myself. But I did also post that on my Patreon if you want to watch me be really shy, really vulnerable, and laugh awkwardly for 10 minutes while I talk about one of my most recurring fantasies. And then the second speaker was all about sex in the Netherlands and sex education and so on, which again was really interesting. A few months ago, I actually did a video about sex in the Netherlands where I talked about how progressive this society is. And even though they are quite progressive compared to some places in the world, like Western countries, they still have a lot of work to do on their own end and they're not as progressive as we think. So that was really interesting. And I'm definitely going to be doing another video about that to talk about maybe some of the misconceptions that I had when it came to talking about sexual attitudes in the Netherlands. And then the end of the final day, we had a boat cruise. You gotta go on a boat cruise, especially when it's nice out and the sun is setting. It's just beautiful. So we went on a nice cruise all around the canals, and it was just a really nice time to bring in all the couple days that we had together, sharing these moments and experiences with all these new people. And it was really nice. So when I think about how this trip has affected my personal and my professional life, it's quite interesting. I remember the first night at the welcome dinner, I was feeling a little bit out of place because I felt like most of the people that were there were either sex therapists or clinicians, and there was only a small pool of us that were coming from different backgrounds. I felt like a little bit of fish out of water. Again, I am new in this industry and I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome. So the feelings and thoughts of like, why am I here? What do I have to offer is, comes running through my head a lot. But when it was time to introduce ourselves, I said my name and that I was in the program. And, I talked a little bit about how I got into the program, what led me there. So I talked about my relationship and how, we started exploring alternative lifestyles, and I started doing a lot of reading about sex and relationships and psychology and alternative lifestyles. And I got really into that and started creating content on YouTube and just kind of, now I'm here. And I can't even tell you after that, I was so surprised because over the next couple of days, I had several people come up to me one-on-one and tell me how much my story was relatable to them in some way and touched them because they were personally going through some kind of monogamy, ethical non-monogamy stuff in their relationship, in their marriage, and they're trying to work it out, or it's people that have been through that and their experience. And it was almost like they were coming to me to talk about it because they needed to connect with someone about it and unload. They were almost looking at me for some kind of relatability, inspiration, connection, and it felt really good and validating. And not only that, but once they found out what I did online and stuff, I had so many people be like, wow, it's really great what you're doing. And just kind of validating me and telling me how great it was. And I don't know, it was just so nice to hear. Can't even tell you. It was so reassuring, so empowering to be like, okay, Allie, I think you're on the right track here. You're getting some cred, some street cred from your peers. They approve. Not that, you need approval or validation from people, but I must say that it was really nice because I don't really talk about this stuff that much with my friends or at home or with my family. I keep it very on the DL, I don't know. It just felt so good to be in a space with people who are like, fuck yeah, it's so amazing what you're doing. I want to do what you're doing. How do you do it? And it's people that have been working in the industry for many years or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is really nice. It's like, Allie, you're on the right path. you know? Anyways, I don't want to get like emotional and get into all that, but I was going into this trip to get some sex ed information, some sex culture, history, expand my mind, but I went into it gaining so much more. The conversations, the connections, the new friendships that I made, like OMG. And what's even cooler, and remember at the beginning of my video, I said I was going to share with you how you can have this experience, is that you don't necessarily need to be a member of the organization or a student of the school to attend. Anybody can attend this trip if you wanted to. It's for people who are really just looking for some cool trip that centers around sex culture and education and so on. And you will be surrounded by many people who are as open-minded, as kind, as respectable as you. I mean, honestly, again, going into a situation where you are in a group of people that center their lives around talking about sex and vulnerability, like that is a safe effing space. And they're fun. Fun people, safe people, inclusive people, great conversations, great stories. You cannot go wrong. So if you're interested in attending one of these trips, you can. And they actually have 2 trips coming up in the fall. So in September, October 2025, they are going to Barcelona, Spain, and Reykjavik in Iceland. I may or may not be attending. I'm not sure. I hope to. But yeah, now you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. And Amsterdam was just incredible. So if you're looking for some sex ed, cultural immersion, community in a safe, fun, playful environment, I definitely recommend you check it out. I'll put some links below so you can check out the information if you want to go on the trip or not. And if you want some more in-depth highlights of the actual trip, again, more of the vlogging in real time and just more information about all the stuff that I learned, some behind the scenes footage, then you can definitely check that out on the Patreon. I'll also link that below. But I just want to say a big thank you to the Sexual Health Alliance for creating such unique, educational, sexceptional, spicy, fun trips, and I will absolutely never forget it. Mwah! Merci, je vous aime, and I will see you in the next video. And I'm going to tell you guys all about Prague.